It is Wednesday, November 11. Welcome to CGN News. The government of Antigua and Barbuda gave Barbados until the end of Tuesday to say why the twin island has been placed on a list of countries deemed medium risk for COVID-19. Foreign Affairs Minister Everly Paul Green said failure to respond would leave his country with no other option but to take the matter before CARICOM. Earlier this month, Antigua and Barbuda sought a response from the government as to why the island had been placed on a high-risk status given that its response to the virus has been exemplary. Prime Minister of St. Lucia, Alan Chastanet, on Tuesday confirmed that the island had recorded its first death from COVID-19. CMC News reports that Chastanet appealed to citizens to follow the protocols and measures put in place to prevent the spread of the virus. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar-George has since confirmed the death, saying it is a 47-year-old man from the McLeod district. He is reported to have had underlying medical conditions. St. Lucia has 141 positive cases of the virus. The U.S. National Hurricane Center says this year's Atlantic hurricane season has broken the record for the number of named storms. Subtropical storm Theta in the northeast Atlantic is the 29th, breaking the previous record of 28 set in 2005. Theta is moving northeastwards towards southern Europe. Forecasters say another system is forming in the Caribbean, which could be named in coming days. Meteorologists say several factors are behind the increasing number of tropical storms. The most influential are very warm sea surface temperatures, low wind shear, and La Niña effect. Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, Evan Thompson, is encouraging Jamaicans to prepare for the possibility of more rainfall on the weekend. He said that the already rain-soaked island may be impacted by a tropical wave, which is now developing in the central Caribbean. The wave will cause increased rainfall, and this will affect Jamaica, Thompson said. He was addressing a meeting between Minister of Housing Pernell Charles Jr. and the Met Office officials at the entity's Halfway Tree Road location in St. Andrew. United States Ambassador to Jamaica Donald Tapia is scheduled to undergo medical treatment in the United States following reports that he has been hospitalized. Reports were that 81-year-old Tapia was admitted to the University Hospital of the West Indies on Tuesday morning. He is said to be in stable condition. The United States Embassy in Kingston, Jamaica, said in a tweet that the ambassador will be going to the U.S. for treatment. Quote, "We are aware of reports in the media of Ambassador Tapia being hospitalized. We can confirm that the ambassador is going to the United States for non-life-threatening medical treatment," end quote, the embassy tweeted on Tuesday. Prime Minister of Belize, Dean Barrow, says the general election will proceed as scheduled today, Wednesday, even as the country continues cleanup following the passage of Tropical Storm Eta. Thousands of people across the country have been affected by severe floods brought about by the outer bands of Eta. The Prime Minister said postponing the election would have required approval from the leaders of the two main political parties. He said there is nothing in Belize's constitution that speaks to a deferral. Overseas now, United States President-elect Joe Biden on Tuesday called Donald Trump's refusal to concede his election loss an embarrassment. But Biden, who has been making contact with foreign leaders, insisted nothing would stop the transfer of power. Trump, meanwhile, tweeted he would ultimately win the race that all major TV networks have forecast he lost. As happens every 4 years, U.S. media projected the election victor. None of the state-by-state results have yet been certified. Several vote counts are continuing, and the outcome will only be set in stone once the U.S. Electoral College meets on December 14. As many as 200,000 refugees could pour into Sudan while fleeing the deadly conflict in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, officials say. Long lines have appeared outside bread shops in the region, and supply-laden trucks are stranded at its borders, the United Nations humanitarian chief in the country said. The UN chief said fuel and food are needed urgently for hundreds of thousands of displaced people. He added that hundreds have died in air raids and fighting since the conflict erupted a week ago. Fears are growing that Ethiopia, a nation of 110 million, could slide into a civil war. All of Hong Kong's pro-democracy lawmakers have resigned after 4 of their colleagues were disqualified. On Wednesday, Beijing passed a resolution allowing the city's government to disqualify politicians deemed a threat to national security. Shortly afterwards, the opposition lawmakers said they would leave the city legislature in solidarity. For the first time since Hong Kong was handed back to China in 1997, the body has almost no dissenting voices. BBC China correspondent Stephen MacDonald says the legislature was already stacked in favor of the pro-Beijing camp. Australia's parliament is set to launch an inquiry into media ownership. This after more than 500,000 people signed a petition demanding a probe into Rupert Murdoch's dominance of the news industry. The online petition was launched on October 12 by former Labour Prime Minister Kevin Rudd, a frequent target of newspapers controlled by Murdoch's News Corp. It is Australia's largest media organisation, owning papers in nearly every major city, as well as cable television networks and magazines. In launching the petition, Rudd decried News Corp as a cancer on our democracy, operating an effective monopoly. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.